This program is designed and produced by the community with the support of TV Cogeco.
Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. This is a TV show where we talk about the things that matter to people who live in Oakville, and today we have Dave Harris from the Oakville Soccer Club. We have Janet Haslett-Theall from the Joshua Creek Residents Association, and we have Tom Adams, who's the town and regional councillor for the northeast part of Oakville, Ward 6 if you're doing wards by number. Welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
I'll start with you, Tom. We have a number of things in Oakville that we've built and a number more that we know people want us to build. How do we manage all that financially? You're our budget chief for 6 or 7 years now. How long have you been the budget chief?
We're on year 7 now, yeah.
Year 7, lucky 7.
Lucky 7, that's right.
So what have we built and how are you going to make it possible for us to build what we have to build?
Well, let's start with the base of our assets that we have right now. We've got a range of assets that include things like roads and storm sewers and parks and facilities. We have all the library system. So we have a wide range of things, including our fleets of transit vehicles and road maintenance vehicles. So a wide range of things that we own already. We have to maintain those things, and the town is in a very strong position in terms of its asset management plan. It's fully funded, and that's a much stronger position than almost any other municipality around. We're in a position where, in essence, we're on a pay-as-you-go basis. As things get used up or the facilities need renewal, we have the funding in place to be able to do that. We're now in a position where we're able to think about what other assets and facilities the town needs or wants to be able to create for the different elements of our community. And that flexibility is based on the strong finances that we have in place. So things like the hospital deal that we just did, the soccer building that we put together a few years ago, those kind of facilities and deals are only possible when you have a strong financial footing to start with.
So Janet, as the leader of one of our very strong residents associations, are there, a leading question for fun, are there any things on residents associations' radar that they want built that hasn't been done yet?
Well, obviously the Southeast Community Recreation Center is a big priority for us. The town's endorsed fair geographic distribution of community services. So that's the big ask that we have in from our residents associations. We obviously believe in investing in downtown. We think it's the jewel of living in Oakville, and it benefits everyone from all the borders and coming into the center. So those are things that are important to us.
Now, how do your residents feel about Council's decision to go first with the Kerr Street Oakville Arena remake rec center? Are you guys okay with that? Did you work with them on that? Tell us a little bit more about how you work together.
So there was a coalition of 11 residents associations, and we are fine with Kerr going first. Everybody wants to go first, but the reality is that what's more important is that there's fair geographic distribution and that there is a commitment to both the arena and a quality recreation center for Southeast, because we don't have one. So the coalition, when it came together, really was centered around livable Oakville and about wanting to make sure all the neighborhoods in Oakville have the kind of community hub that makes us enjoy even more our town.
So Dave, at the soccer club, you've got this very large facility on Pine Glen. Do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about how we got that and what kind of role it plays?
Sure. Well, in 2009, we were in a dome facility. 2008, 2009, we were in a dome facility, and it came about with the town, I believe, under your leadership, speaking with our group and suggesting that a permanent structure be erected in the community, which would help gain more traction in terms of players, in terms of community involvement. And from 2009, I believe the shovel was in the ground that year, and it was built towards the end of 2009. And from there, it's been nothing short of a community-focused area where you got everything from kids to adults to seniors to community groups playing an active role every day with us.
So we had a bit of an interesting model there. Your club staffs the facility, and so basically it runs on volunteers. It's a state-of-the-art soccer center, and it's a way to leverage the town's interest in community activities and the need for facilities while keeping taxes down.
Absolutely.
We have a similar arrangement with the gymnastics club. I think council hopes that this can be a model that can increase. I know we haven't got we haven't quite got there in Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Center, but we were very hopeful that the arts community could provide some volunteer operators there. Tom, what is an asset management plan? Why would a company or a municipal corporation want one?
So it rolls off the tongue, does an asset management plan? Well, you have to think about what assets are. Assets are all of the things that you own. And in our case, we own a bunch of hard physical things like roads, like facilities. So we've got QE Park, we've got the soccer building as a community facility, the town hall. All of those things are physical assets that we own. And we need to manage those assets, those things.
But by manage, do you mean maintain it and then plan for replacing it?
So in this case, that means maintaining and replacing over time as they come due to be replaced. So if you imagine your house, you have a house, that's your asset. You have a roof, you have a driveway, you've got a whole bunch of other things in your house. And over time, every 20 years perhaps, or every 15, depending on the kind of roofing you've got, you may need to replace that roof. And every so many years, you'd probably want to repave your driveway. Maybe you need to refinish your bathroom, refinish your kitchen, those kinds of things. And you put together a family plan around how you're going to do that work and replace it. And at the end of the life of a home, it probably needs to be completely rebuilt every X number of years. And we have the same thing with our facilities. Many of our facilities need to go through major renovations on the interior for things like change rooms, facilities, bathrooms. Those things happen every 10 to 15 years, depending on what they are. And in most of our major buildings, every 40 or 50 years, they come to the end of their useful life. The Oakville Arena is a case like that. And we need to be able to have a financial plan, just like your family might need to have a financial plan around maintaining the roof, around maintaining our buildings. And so our community has such a plan, and it includes all of the facilities, all the major buildings that we have. It also includes all of our roads. And our roads are a multi-million dollar endeavor. In fact, this year we're spending about $7.1 million on road resurfacing, and that's the largest spend that Oakville has ever had on road resurfacing. So it's that kind of ability to manage all of those assets so that you're never in a position where parts of your facilities are falling down and the community then has to say, oh my gosh, we have no money to fix it. What do we do? We're in a position where we know what to do. We've got a plan to fix those things.
So we're the family that saves for the roof as opposed to the family that waits and then tries to borrow for the roof.
That's right.
Now, it's my information that we're the only municipality in the country that's in that position. Everybody else is in the middle of a borrowing binge that's supported by taxpayers.
That's very true. If you look at Mississauga, for example, they have a plan to bring forward millions of dollars in debt over the next decade in order not to build new things, but to what I call keep the lights on, to maintain the roads and facilities that they've got. And some of the other municipalities around us are also entering into that kind of a borrowing situation. So we're in a position where we have the ability to borrow should we want to or need to, but for the purposes of maintaining our facilities and renewing our roads and our other stock, I'll call it, we don't need to do that, which frees up that borrowing ability to do things like the hospital deal. And so those are facilities, new facilities that the community will be able to benefit from that otherwise would have been very difficult to manage. It would have required massive tax increases to be able to do that.
So how did you, running the budget for 7 years, avoid massive tax increases? What's the secret? How come we have a funded asset management plan?
Well, we've our council, and it's not just their current council, it's a council that's gone back a number of years, long ago put into place a capital levy, a 1% increase to the local taxes each year. And it started way back in the 90s, actually, and the last term of council actually doubled that amount, and in 2010 we added a special levy for road resurfacing. But that effort to put into place that kind of dedicated tax space for infrastructure renewal, facilities and roads has allowed us to be put into this position where we've got the flexibility to do other things. So when we're talking about community facilities like the Southeast Oakville facilities, the North Park builds that we're looking towards for example, a new soccer building, some of the other needs in the new communities that are required, we're in a position to be able to entertain those discussions because we've already dealt with that basic asset management.
Now, Dave, your facility started out, I think we had a simple vision for it, that it was going to be an indoor soccer facility so that soccer training could occur in our light winters. And but it didn't turn out that way. And we had a business plan based on an assumption that we could use most of the time in there, and that doesn't seem to have turned out that way either. So tell me about what happened.
Well, initially when the building was created, it was seen, and you're exactly right, it was 65, 75%. We hope we can fill it, and we've got time for the community as well as the soccer players. But right off the get-go, it turned into something that was just gangbusters, and it was not just simply the young kids in a rep program playing there. It was adults. It was during our off-peak hours, everything from senior programs, Nordic pole walking, to little kids programs, and I'm talking about from a year and a half, right up until university sports are in there, high school sports are in there, from football to rugby to lacrosse. So right now, you're at the point where you were hopeful for 75, and now you're looking at 98%, with the 2% basically when you're going dark for maintenance and servicing inside the building. So you're exactly right. The building Pine Glen has really turned into something that is really we're really proud of in the community, and it's done quite well for everybody.
Now, do you think the soccer club's going to want to do another building?
Well, that's loaded. Yeah, I can say in the short answer, yes. I don't know where else we would put the kids right now. We're at a point where we're at our limits, to be quite honest with you. From 5 until midnight, there is no time at the building. And we're getting into peak hours where we're bringing in people there. So yes, short answer is yes. And I know there's a wonderful project being looked at North Park, and that's something we definitely would be anxious to take a look at as well.
So you've gone from being the biggest soccer club in I don't know how far, North America, yep, to even bigger?
I think we're getting there. And it's not simply the adults, for example, becoming a greater population, but we're seeing spikes. We're one of the only clubs in the country that is having positive growth. A lot of attrition is happening locally and across the country, not just in soccer but in other sports. But we're really striving to get the kids in, and we've done different initiatives to ensure that the kids are coming in, because we're asking the parents, for example, what they want, and then meeting the needs of the community to try to get them in there. So yes, we're getting close to where we just simply can't put any more kids in there in the fall winter.
Sounds like a call to action. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about how we're going to get ourselves into a position to fill these needs that are identified already in our future plan over the next 10 years or so. This is one of the most important things that matters to Oakville, and I hope you'll join us when we're back. Thanks for coming back to join us. We're talking about what matters to Oakville today, and the matter is asset management. How do we keep what we've got and build what we need? And with us, of course, is Dave Harris from the Oakville Soccer Club, Janet Haslett-Theall from the Joshua Creek Residents Association, and Tom Adams, who's not only a local and regional councillor for the northeast part of Oakville, but for 7 years now the budget chief for the town of Oakville. So I wanted to put. I wanted to see if I could get Janet to ask Tom if we have to choose between a parking garage and a rec center, or between a new soccer building and a community center for North Oakville. And it's kind of a jumping off point for the many different inputs that we have to draw on to build things. And we have to frame it, an $800 million capital budget looking out 10 years, give or take. And obviously that's adjustable and sourced by several different revenue points. So why don't you give us a bit of an overview of how that works? Because I know a lot of people are wondering if we have to, which child to choose, that kind of thing.
There's a whole bunch of children out there, so to speak, that need to be looked after, and it includes all the different parts of town. Everyone has a different thing that they want to build. In some cases it's a community facility, in some cases it's a piece of infrastructure, a particular road, for example, that people want to have advanced. And we have, as you said, a capital plan that looks out 10 years, and it's in the order of $800 million, and it covers all of those different kinds of things. And as you said, it's funded by a bunch of different sources. It includes, for the growth elements of the town, development charges, and they cover all of the hard infrastructure in the new parts of town. And in the existing parts of town, we look to our capital levies, our tax levies, to renew our infrastructure, and in some cases build new facilities in existing parts of town where there is no other development there to support that kind of development. And so in those areas, for example in the downtown area, we might be looking for better use of our existing surface parking lots that we have in order to be able to partially fund some of the new infrastructure, new facilities that people are looking to get. That means that we might be looking at taking existing land that we have, converting it into a mixed use arrangement where there might be some residential as part of a complex, and that residential might help offset the cost of a new facility. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. We've got a number of reports in the works to deal with those various things, and I think that council and the community should expect to see some of those kind of programs being put forward. In fact, the QE Park that we were talking about earlier also used that kind of arrangement where an old high school that was there was being declared surplus by the school board. The town had an interest in having a facility there, and in order to help build that facility and maintain it, we took the whole lot, purchased it, severed off a number of building lots, residential lots, and those residential lots paid for the land space. And so there are arrangements that we have had historically that help us create community facilities and space. The surplus school sites in Southeast Oakville are another perfect example of a case where the town has stepped in, purchased assets that might otherwise cause us trouble, and converted them into community space.
So this half of the show, this treatment of assets, I'm hoping to get people in town to talk naturally of asset performance. So not only do we need to be leaders in asset management, and I think we are, but we need to be leaders in asset performance. The other night at council, we heard another residents association call on council to convert to the highest and best use to maximize the revenue to the town, some of the town's properties that aren't doing very much right now. And Janet, what's your sense of your residents' view of that approach? Is Oakville ready for the next level of asset management, where you're looking at trying to make your assets perform as highly as they can for you?
I think we'd endorse that as a philosophy. I mean, there's always things that surround that you have to be careful of. So, for example, development needs to respect the character of the neighborhood. I'll use Chisholm as an example. The town stepped in. Loss of that school was not a welcome decision by the neighborhood. However, when the town purchased Chisholm and Brantwood and Lynbrook and stepped into that, they've now found a way to turn that into a positive, and they'll use some of those funds to help offset that the build of a community center for us. So I think how you go about doing it is obviously one of the things residents would always ask the question, well, how's that going to impact everyone? But it's certainly philosophically, I think we'd all be okay with it.
David's club is a good example of asset performance. They were paying $800,000 or $900,000 a year rent for a fairly dingy inflatable bubble for indoor soccer space in the winter. And that amount of money was being generated by the families and their fees. And that's enough money to carry the principal and interest for the financing of the soccer building. So the club provided the revenue, the town provided the financing, and the soccer activity carries the entire thing. And then to the good, it's on town land. The town contributed land. Town contributed money that we had collected from developers for landscaping, and you got a nice package that didn't actually hit the taxpayer at all. And then the bonus to the taxpayer is having the town own a soccer building means it now goes into our asset list, and we get to start collecting from new growth from developers some money towards the next soccer building. And the peculiar way the province does the law, you can't collect for things you want, you can only collect for things you've already had. So the province is reviewing that law, and we're arguing that we ought to be able to plan for a strong community without being limited to where we were in the past. So stay tuned to see how we do with that. I'm curious, Dave. When I go to the soccer club, I notice that it's humming like a community hub. It's like full of parents and all kinds of activity. How are you dealing with? I mean, that was sort of an unexpected piece of this, wasn't it?
It was. It was almost. You know, in doing it again, you'd want to almost look at more spectator areas for them, because it is a hub in the winter. We've put in additional TVs because people like to come in and watch the English Premier League while their child is on the field. So they mass together in groups and sit on the couches and the chairs, and it literally is a meeting point for all the parents there, whether it's mom and dad or the grandparents. You see as many, sometimes I think we see as many parents at the building as we do kids on the weekend. And, you know, so that's why we really strive to make it a good experience, not just for the kids, but for the parents as well. And that's everything from the upkeep of the building to providing different amenities such as TVs and things like that. Because, yeah, it is essentially a community center on weekdays and weeknights, and we pride ourselves on having that.
So it seems to me that the bonus here is the club must have gotten stronger, or could have gotten stronger as a result of this. Has that happened? Have you gotten? What's happened with the vitality of the club?
Well, I think we are getting stronger, and we're developing better players. We're developing a sense of community. One of the big things when I came in here is we want to be part of the community and ensure that we're not just the soccer club and not just another recreational group in town, but we're fabric of the community. And in terms of getting stronger within the community, it's a matter of putting on good programs, reaching out to different partners. We have partnerships now with the Halton Cultural Center. We have partnerships with the Oakville Hornets, who are at Joshua Creek, and different groups, so that we can say that we're not just simply soccer, but again, we're a solid contributing member of the community.
But yeah, and all of our sports groups, all of our minor sports groups are, I think of them as run by mom and pop volunteers. Certainly when my kids were going through, that's the way it was. Tom is in the middle of doing that, and Janet's done that. And so I assume that getting parents more excited about the club and being proud of the facility helps you with that. It
really does. We have a need because of the number of kids we have. We have over 900 volunteers. And the volunteers are not going to be there simply because their child is a member of the soccer program. They want to be part of it. It's exciting for them. At the rep level, where it's more of a high performance model, we have the top coaches in the area. We don't just simply place a coach into position. They have to have the highest level possible. We want to show excellence. And if the parents are expecting it, the nice thing for us right now is the parents are expecting it. The parents expect excellence. When they do their volunteering, we're trying to expose them to better ways to do things. So it is. You're right. The parents are seeing a greater effort on our part, and I think it's really resonated.
Well, on that note, I can't resist. What level are you coaching, Tom?
I'm coaching still again.
At what level?
This year I'll be doing a boys under 9 group.
So is this house league?
So I'm coaching house league this summer, and I've been coaching for many, many years now. And the concept of the community hub at the Pine Glen facility is absolutely true. In fact, my daughter, who's part of the advanced development program, she plays on a particular day, and while I'm there, I get to chat and hang out with the director of planning from Vaughan. So it's amazing, but you get to chat with all kinds of different people about different things while you're there, and it truly is a community facility.
So I can't resist.
Please.
We think it's awesome. We'd like a community hub in Southeast Oakville. Most people don't even realize we don't actually have a community center in our area. We'd love to have that experience.
You know, the humor there is when we were trying to decide where to put it, there was a piece of land in Southeast Oakville, and the Residents Association for that area didn't want it. So you came that close to having this one.
But we're going to get one now on the hospital lands, and we won't have to choose between children.
And so we're working at the 10-year, actually the 10-year plan is coming up this fall. It's actually a good point to have that discussion. And that's the point where we'll be talking about when each of those children get to come forward for their turn in the queue. And so we are going to be looking at the timing of the hospital lands. We will be looking at the timing of the Centennial space. So those kind of facilities, in fact the Centennial pool, in my opinion, is one that desperately needs to be renewed. Having had kids go to swim classes there and having had kids go to other facilities, you can see the difference in the quality.
All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. I hope people have a sense of optimism about what we can achieve in Oakville while keeping our tax increases below inflation for so many years and still growing the things and providing the things that people want and need in order for us to have the strongest and happiest community. I hope you'll join us next time when we talk about Oakville Matters.